Back to the opening scene. This is showing the Reds, the dead rabbits. And whether you realize that or not, in the other video, they're underneath the earth. And that should be pretty familiar if you understand concerning the Locust, Revelation chapter 9, are coming up out of the earth. Now, if you were planning on seeking to pin a deception of the biblical identity of the Locust on an event, an upcoming event, where you were going to produce red-headed examples that you're planting in the psyche of man through entertainment and media currently in the world system now, well, you'd want to make them look like they were coming out of the earth, wouldn't you? To fulfill the agenda of what you were trying to promote. It'd have to be coming out of the earth. Well, we're going to see that in the next scene. But the next thing I want to say is that, when we talk about fulfilling the fractal and, adding up and equating these symbols, when they add up together in sequence and order, they're telling you things. They're telling you what their plans are, the full fulfillment of it. And you're going to see that the Spirit of Truth has been right on point with these revelations. Jesus Christ says, "What I reveal to you in secret, shout it from the housetops." Remember the Wendy's cup? We said that the red represents the blood, simultaneously represents the fire. Okay? Now, that's what we have to see being paired right here with these reds. Opening scene, introduction for the dead rabbits, being featured as the Nephilim here by the elites through their coded deception with this Jacob-like doctrine that they're carrying out against the descendants of Esau in symbolism now being shown to you. The highest reflection would be, it's the general populace. It's the general unlearned masses that have been dumbed down by their deceptions for the last 1,000 years, majorly in the last 100 years, at least in this country alone, to where they've taken advantage of them, called them something that they're not. Now they plan on to destroying them, and it's all coded in every fun family movie for entertainment. Incredible. From cartoons to history movies to science fiction to fairy tales. Fairy tales. Right. Chose from all the daughters of men of which they thought were fair. Here's the scene that shows them fulfilling the locust coming up out of the earth. Remember, this is the beginning scenes before they go to the fight. All right. There they are in the earth. Revelation chapter 9 describes a locust coming up out of the earth after some sort of destruction, right? Exactly right. That destruction will be the millstone, Revelation chapter 18, verse 21-22, which is then further explained in Revelation chapter 13, verse 13. If you want a real good explanation of it, go to Zechariah chapter 5. It would be the flying roll. It would be that justice. That supposed justice, I guess, right? That then we see the woman Israel, Revelation 12, speedily is lifted up, symbolically, to wings of a stork, to this land called Shinar. That's the refuge, that's Zion, that's that dry place of ancient times, the moon, the dark side of the moon, which is the symbolic Horus eye. Okay, that dark eye that they're going to. Being connected to Horus will be the symbolism for the birthing of the prince, which is a representation of the sun, which now fulfills itself as the dark prince, representative of Horus. Lucifer would obviously be the father in this situation, being further connected with Osiris. It's all there. So now you see them underneath the earth. That's logically what you'd have to be. You'd have to have that there if you're trying to pin this biblical identity of the locust, some sort of deception. Next thing that you see, friends, with the geometry of the angles of the beams, guess what? That's fire symbolism. That's the upward facing triangle. That's the masculine symbol. It is the symbol for fire. It's the symbol for the phallus, right? And we're talking about a seeding, coming together, sons of God, the daughters of men. There's the phallus, there's the symbol for the fire. You just saw the depiction for the symbolization of these reds being symbolized with blood. And in that scene, he said, the blood stays on the blade. Now that would make sense if they're trying to pin the identity of the Dans, who are unjust judges, being depicted with the symbolism of the sword of justice, which we see is iniquitous. And that's what they're still trying to pin upon them. And you could cite that from Ecclesiastes about these wicked judges. And then Jesus Christ quotes them again in reference to a widow that's pestering them and going down there to this city and seeking to get this unjust judge to do something for her. Wow. I guess ask and you shall receive, I guess. So now moving forward to the next scene, keep this in mind. Everything in perfect perspective, still fulfilling from the Wendy's Cup. Still, the sacred feminine with mom. Now we have to see the triangle that is now pointing downward. And of course, I mean, that's the Freemasonic compass and square, is it not? When these two are brought together, well, it's also the symbolism for the Star of David. The star tetrahedron represents as above, so too below. It's telling you the merger of the same duality between the reds and the blues. So let's say, for instance, there was somebody commenting on a comment page calling themselves blue something. Let's say blue bull, possibly. This person would be making you think that they were separated from the reds. But we know that the code is that the blues and the reds are working together, right? Yeah. So anyway, as we move forward, you see now that the locusts are going to be coming up out of the earth. And that is what we didn't have a chance to really speak upon. It's the fulfillment of Revelation chapter 9 as they're trying to prescribe it perfectly in this movie. Now, this character here, John C. Reilly, one of my favorite actors, you wouldn't believe what they're trying to show him as. Look at him, the coat that he's wearing, this would be Samson. Yep. And it is incredible how this matches the Samson story, but that's a whole nother hour too long video to show you how they symbolize something with that. It's incredible. But nonetheless, let us move forward. This is the locust appearing, getting ready to come up out of the ground. And as you can see it's underneath the earth. Now, unfortunately, there is something going on here that is highly relative and deceptive. I'm going to speak about it briefly, but I see this in all sorts of other movies. I've told you that they are going to dupe these other ethnicities that are working for their orders. I'm telling you, this thing is not called the White Brotherhood for nothing. These are not called white knights for nothing. You see them down here showing the symbolism of this African American dancing the jig. And then later in the movie, the Mason dude says something about a jig, doing a jig with the jig, talking negatively about jigaboos. And he's in relationship with this with the Reds. They're comparing the jigs, as he's saying this connection here, that the Irish dance a jig. He's comparing these jigs with these African Americans as the negative slang term, jigaboo. This is fulfilling a higher code that they are sending out, that they plan on duping their initiates of ethnicity. And I'm not even kidding you. I'm not even kidding you. I mean, I'm telling you, you just wouldn't believe. It's even in the movie Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. The African American character in there, they depict her as blind. And you should see who she's best friends to, which is really showing a reflection of these African American initiates that are being duped into this system and being tempted by wealth and material things. Please come out of it. Please don't work for these slave masters any longer. Come out of it and understand that Jesus Christ is for everyone, absolutely everyone, and Jesus Christ is neither white nor black. Jesus Christ is not Chinese nor Jew. Jesus Christ is an eternal, creative spirit who is our designer and giver of life. You can't define the Creator in terms of ethnicity, you know, and He's not a racist, as we see that so many others that are wrapped up into these mystery religions get involved in these genetic doctrines, which leads to this race hatred. And that is deceptively practiced because they need to use people. They're using people to get what they want. And they understand the thing with Fantastic Four, but you have to look at the history with the Irish in this country. You'll have to look at the history with the Irish in this country. They were depicted in a negative fashion. They were considered an inferior slave race, and they were depicted in caricature in the same racial description and forms as African Americans were being depicted in those days. Check the history on it. You can see it. There is a message that is being sent out here that is referencing who really this secret order believes is the undesirables, and is going to be connected to all this in a reflection through their agenda and their propaganda and what they want. Okay? That thing with that person dancing the jig is a very, very, very significant variable to this agenda here. I hope that you understand what I'm at least trying to convey. Now, and as I said, it connects with something that one-eyed individual says in the movie later about the Irish dancing the jig. Okay, so now we're going to see the coming up to the point of this part here. The volume went out on me again, and I said something when the volume went out describing that whacking stick. Okay, it's a club. It's a club. He's using a club to kill people with. He's using a club to create some sort of order with. Sound familiar? And then this club is connected to this number 44. Has some sort of significance or plan with it. We see that the plan is destruction and it's death. And we see that in a sense now it's trying to be symbolized with these gingers and these people of red hair. And what you can see even the animated South Park is in on it, calling people gingers in a negative light. You think, so South Park is supposed to have the high knowledge on biblical affairs? Is that where we're supposed to be getting our truth from? I see a lot of people display videos like that's what it is. They're doing nothing but spinning the deception, promoting the propaganda. Once again, it's just a vehicle to get to the masses, to enter into the eyes and the minds of the masses, to get to that soul portion, to begin to contort and twist the real desires of human experience towards something of their own goal and making. Come on. Come on. This thing with this winter and this Snow White thing. I mean, you got to think about the symbolism with the North, the armies of the North, symbolizing the North Pole with the Dans, as they're trying to show them now. They're them coming out there with the pigs again. Now, that's this building. They've come out the ground from underneath this great building here. All right. Now, let me go ahead and bring us to the inverted triangle. Okay, I'm telling you, all of this symbol is there in perfect relativity. There it is. You're looking at it. Okay. That is the 5 Points District, otherwise known as the 5 Boroughs. Did we not start talking about this movie in reference to donkeys, burros, asses? Yes, we did. New York City has a place called the 5 Boroughs, otherwise known as the 5 Points. It makes up a pentagram, and that we see this inverted triangle right there. That is the symbol for water. It is the symbol for the womb, and it is the symbol for the sacred feminine. Now, this is symbolized at the 5 Points District, right smack dab in the middle of a pentagram. This would be one street here, the top point of the pentagram. This is one street here, one arm of the pentagram over, the other arm of the pentagram over, and then these are the two bottom, or now top points of the pentagram, which is showing it to you like in a goat's head form. And then there is the inverted triangle right there. Notice all of those bodies strewn about that area is a result of that clash between the red and the blue coming together. In other words, the fire and the water. That's the plan that the red and the blue mystery lodges has for this location. They're bringing fire from the sky that is supposed to be a faked asteroid or millstone that's supposed to land off the coast, that's going to develop into a colossal tidal wave in essence. And then there's the symbolism, as we've seen, in perfect order, from fire to water, and then who it's supposed to bring about. But they want to control the situation, right? It's a controlled condition. If they're controlling the condition and they're going to Shinar 44, well, obviously they're going to produce their version of the Nephilim. And you're seeing them right here being depicted as the Reds. As I've said before, this is Jacob's, once again, deception on the descendants of Esau that he is pinning on the entirety of the consumer-based society, whether you got red hair or not. All of this blood, they've just hacked each other up with knives and axes, clubs and nails and what have you, bricks and what have you. It's all bloody in this inverted birthing point, remember? The blood is a resultation of this birth, right? Isaiah 34 recounts it better. It's a blood sacrifice. Talking about this slaughter in Bozrah. What is Bozrah famous for? It's famous for the tallest buildings in the Iron Age. What are the ancient mighty ones depicted as? They're depicted strong as iron. What is this trying to code over and propagate? And the Nephilim associated with the mighty ones, right? So all of this is in perfect reflection. Perfect reflection. Every last bit of it. So there's your ritual sacrifice. Bozrah had the world's tallest buildings in the Iron Age. New York City is famous for tall buildings, is it not? Are we not watching a movie about New York City? Have I not been for 2 years showing you every way possible the plans of what they plan here? And it is proven that I have known exactly, or at least the Spirit of Truth has, because it's been revealed that way, exactly what's going to go down. Exactly. So there's your inverted triangle. Now, the Spirit of Truth gave this to me 20 some years ago, 20 some years plus. Check this out, guys. This is when I was a very young man, and there's the inverted triangle right there. Give me one moment. My videos are not very professional. They're not well produced. I work with what I have, and that's going to be the Spirit of Truth. I hope it works for you. This is the drawing that I showed you in the beginning of the video that had up top, it said "Ass in," right? And then there we see the 5 boroughs, okay, which represent what? Asses. And I said this is the location for a ritual sacrifice, correct? And then look at our little twisted step individual here. Wow, we find that this symbolism even results as an X, and even will connect back to Osiris. As we come back here, I want you to see that right above it is the moon. Right here is the moon. The moon is showing the dropping of the second cup. And then right here, we see this inverted triangle, which symbolizes the birthing point in the womb. What do we have coming out of it? Dark Prince. And then we have the New World Order. Out of the middle of this birthing womb, can you make out a reptilian-like pterodactyl? Well, that's who they're going to pair with, the Dans, the Nephilim. They're going to be paired with the Greys, which the deception has already happened in 1947 in this country with Roswell. They're trying to pair this country up in connection with this gray alien faction, which is going to be connected to these red Dans when they arrive. But these red ones are not Dans, and I'm going to get more or less to the proof of that as we move forward. The next thing that you see, there's 2 things that are coming up out of this birthing point here. Another pterodactyl there. We see this 7-winged individual there. Well, that's the Dans right there. Represents the Pleiades, the 7 stars. Notice that it even looks like a nuclear explosion. And then now if this was a tree, that would be a worm. This would be wormwood. Wow, it's all there. Notice that Sin, the moon god, is actually drying out the withering roots of what's planted there. Incredible. Dropping the second cup, symbolism for Gotham City, New York City. Is not Gotham New York City? Were we not talking about Esau in relationship to a pig? Is Gotham not an actual anagram for got ham? Yeah, and then we're connecting this back to James Holmes from the ritual sacrifice at the movie premiere of The Dark Knight Rises, which is all about a nuclear destruction taking place off the coast of Gotham City. See how all this comes together? You see why these blind agents are on these comment page doing whatever they can to stop me from being able to reach you? There's your 5 points, ritual sacrifice. There's what the Spirit of Truth revealed to me about it 20 plus years ago and told me that it was going to be a double-staged event of these supposed judges to come out the earth. We see these Dans are being depicted with the 7, symbolizes with the 7 stars of the Pleiades, which will successfully correct the description of these beings, at least paired to the Pleiadians, as having long, white, blonde hair. Right? Now there is another stage to their deception that is supposed to fit with the Dans, but I told you the Dans religion and they no longer work with them. This is some incredible stuff here, guys. Don't forget how we started this video with ass in, and now you're seeing the womb, everything connected from the movie Shrek. I mean, the James Holmes, it's all there, guys. It's absolutely incredible. It's incredible. Okay, this video is about to stop, and I might come back with some more tonight. If I don't, keep checking the channel for the latest uploads. This series will continue. This quite possibly could be one of the better series I've ever done. I'm going to show you another assemblage now of the inverted triangle, which will reveal who is the real resultant of the sacred feminine. Notice it says route of the Exodus. This is an actual, accurate, geographical, topographical map of the area of the Sinai Peninsula. Now let's remember that Israel comes out of Egypt. Literally, Israel emerges out of Babylon and Egypt. The nation of Israel forms itself from these locations. And then Ephraim, the leader, has its royalty birth descendancy through the interpretation of the sacred feminine from that Egyptian royalty. Now, we're going to look, and I want you guys to see something that is going to develop. We've shown in some other videos already that is absolutely monumental. This is the Sinai Peninsula. This is where Moses brings the Israelites to supposedly go to this mountain location where Moses brings down the 10 Commands, and then, of course, where they're supposed to be eating the manna. Well, if you've been watching these videos, they really go to an Egyptian temple, Hathor, which is the goddess and symbolage of Ishtar, the very same fertility goddess that we looked at with Artemis. They're all the same thing. Now, this is the Sinai Peninsula, right? Right here. Now, what do you see there? Inverted triangle. Perfectly. Perfectly. Now, what are they supposed to be doing at this location? They're supposed to be being birthed anew. They're supposed to be being brought out of this golden calf idol worship and now being taught the doctrine that they themselves are the living golden calves. And this is where they start eating the manna. Now, if we've got the symbolism here of the inverted triangle, we want to see more confirmation. We want to see now that this entire region turns into a rabbit. There's the long rabbit ears. There's his little rabbit nose and his little distorted rabbit eyes, which symbolizes the fertility of the sacred feminine. Look at that. Absolutely amazing. But remember in Genesis, some of you already know, the Bible declares that the serpent shall eat the dust of the earth all the days of his life. Well, we're talking about duality. We're talking about two characters being made as one. So not only do we need to see the fertility of the rabbit, but then we need to see the serpent that seeded it. Well, that's exactly what you see. This turns into the gaping, open mouth of a serpent. Right there. Large eye, serpent's gaping open mouth, and now we see why the serpent is to eat the dust of the earth all the days of his life, because that's where this dust is being produced at the temple Hathor. This is where the sacred manna was being produced. This is a part of their deception of the ye are gods. Okay, the whole thing that you see here, keep in mind, this is not symbolism. This is actually land masses on our planet that are telling you this exact same truth that I've been telling you. Is the planet lying? Is the planet lying? Right? A perfect rabbit simultaneously forms that perfect open-mouthed serpent that is now eating the womb that supposedly they think they're being birthed out of. They're just going from the frying pan to the fire right away. And what is this called? This is called the desert of sin. Right? And remember the connection to the Babylonian moon god Sin? Sinai, the root word for Sinai is sin. I hope you guys just realize what you just saw right there. And you know what? I hope that you're going to realize that I'm going to show you that same split river serpent rabbit in New York City. I'm not kidding. I'm going to have to do that in another video because I actually don't know where it is in the movie through the clips. But it's there. I couldn't believe it, and it's there. Let me show you one real quick thing here. So remember who the sacred feminine is, guys. Don't lose perspective now. Don't lose perspective. This is an image of Israel. This is going to be connected to the black-headed ones that's recorded in the Bible. More understanding from this is on the way. Remember, it's the black and the white here that are being connected. The black and the white. Well, you know who the white hair is now, being connected with Dan, being connected to the modern day description of Pleiadians that are supposed to be right, some sort of aliens from some far place, but they're also being depicted as Elohim and angels. Well, this is their interpretation of the Dans, but as you see, the Dans ain't going to really be going for that. Nonetheless, let's take a look at something that is relative. We're talking about the 44, right? Earlier in this, and you should know from watching the monatomic gold fractal about the 44% that is going up, and then this fulfills what Jesus Christ said. Well, how can Satan's kingdom stand if it's going to be divided? If only 44% of them are going somewhere, or the rest of them are being left behind? Yep, left behind. Fractal fulfilled. Fractal fulfilled. Left behind. Their kind. They're not taking all you guys to the moon. Many of you didn't even ever know this moon thing was happening, did you? You never got your tickets to Shinar, did you? Huh. Man, I tell you. Let's check out something here, guys. Let's check out what you might be thinking you're looking at here is some sort of pyramidal form with eye shapes on it. But you know how it was created? By mirroring those two fours. By mirroring the two fours, 44. Because you got to remember, we just saw this supposed Nephilim depicted with red hair wielding a club that he's going to murder with that has 44 notches on it. That's what it says in the movie. So then we see Jacob depicts Dan as some sort of serpent judge, right? So then what did I do? I decided to mirror the two fours together in an older video. And believe it or not, I came up with an Aztec pyramid with some symbol for DNA. And then this connection here represented the planet of crossing, which now represents further the chromosomes, the genetic chromosomes of the sacred feminine. And then goes on further to represent, guess who? Osiris. Because Osiris was symbolized with an X. So now when we turn this over, it becomes pretty plain exactly what this is. This is a viper. The 44 comes together to actually make a viper. Not only that, some sort of ziggurat pyramid. Not only that, the connection with Osiris at the top that they're truly hoping to hail. Incredible. And there's more to it. You realize that every video that I have made over the last 2 years is like this. If you have not seen The Arrival of the Locust on my playlist, watch it, okay? Keep in mind you're seeing the inverted triangle at the 5 points representing the pentagram. There's been a blood sacrifice there. Read Isaiah 34. Understand that I'm here to help you. Understand that there are people here on this channel that are trying to stop you from getting that help. Don't listen to them. Be courageous. Realize we overcome this. We overcome this with goodness, not with evil. I'll be back.